Thanks for staying with us here for Crime 2 News at 6:30. I'm Whitney Ward.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Former Spokane Regional Health Officer Dr. Bob Lutz has filed a lawsuit against the health district over his controversial firing.
Dr. Lutz announced his intent to file back in late October, and this week that suit was submitted in Superior Court, so it is now official. Dr. Lutz is suing for wrongful termination, claiming that it was a violation of SRHD's bylaws and that there simply wasn't just cause to fire him in the first place. The suit also claims that Lutz was fired in violation of his First Amendment right to free speech. He's also suing for defamation and asking to be immediately reinstated as the regional health officer. He's also seeking financial damages. We did contact SRHD and were referred to their legal team, but haven't received a response back.
A Puyallup father is in the Utah desert searching for his daughter, Susan Powell. You might remember her name. Powell's disappearance and tragic murder of her two little boys happened more than 10 years ago this month.
Now, this story made national headlines, and Drew Mickelson with our sister station in Seattle has covered this case from the beginning. He has the latest tonight.
Does an abandoned mine in Utah's West Desert hold the answer to what happened to Susan Powell?
Is this theirs?
Her father hopes so.
I'd just be glad to find out, is she here? Is she not?
Chuck Cox, who lives in Puyallup, came to this search site to join and thank the privately funded crew that conducted more than a week-long search for his daughter's remains, the latest chapter in her long story. Powell's husband, Josh Powell, immediately raised suspicion when he told police he had taken his boys, Charlie and Braden, camping in the Utah desert in December, the same day his wife was reported missing. 2 years later, on Super Bowl Sunday, Powell killed himself and his boys after setting their Pierce County home on fire. The case first made national headlines in December of 2009, when Susan was first reported missing in Utah. The next month, Josh and their boys moved to Puyallup, where Josh's father lived. In August of 2011, detectives searched that home and arrested Powell's father after they found child pornography images. The state then granted custody of the boys to their grandparents, Chuck and Judy Cox. The next February, during a visit authorized by the state, Powell killed the boys and himself. In July of 2020, a jury found the state was negligent in allowing the visit, awarding the Cox family $98 million in damages.
I wish there was more.
This week's mine search did locate bones and clothing. It's not clear yet if it's a break or another dead end. But more than 12 years later, Susan Powell's father won't give up searching.
It's a blessing, and I'm just so thankful that they're doing it, and I'm just grateful that people are still looking for Susan.
Drew Mickelson for Creme 2 News.
Wow. Well, tonight a wildfire continues to burn in the Southern California city of Laguna Beach. That fire, now named the Emerald Fire, broke out just last night, and so far it's burned about 150 acres, but just 5% contained. As those flames quickly spread, officials went knocking on doors telling people to leave their homes immediately. No homes have been damaged, though, by that fire so far.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson visited NATO troops in Warsaw, Poland today. This comes as reinforcements continue to shield NATO's eastern flank from the potential spillover from the Ukraine crisis. 350 more British troops were deployed to Warsaw today as well. Meanwhile, 1,000 troops are on standby to provide support in the event of a humanitarian crisis caused by any Russian aggression in Ukraine. Currently, Russia has more than 100,000 troops near Ukraine's borders. They continue to deny accusations that they may be planning to invade Ukraine, although they say they could take unspecified military technical action unless demands are met. Well, Super Bowl Sunday could turn into a super crush of semis as the trucker protest over COVID vaccine mandates in Canada may soon be rolling to Los Angeles and a city near you.
So Natalie Brand is at the White House tonight with that story and more on how the protests north of the border could impact us here at home.
Preparations for Super Bowl Sunday in Los Angeles now include a DHS warning of a potential convoy of truckers, similar to the one that's prompted a state of emergency in Ottawa, Canada. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas spoke exclusively to CBS News' Carter Evans.
Once they intervene in other people's freedoms and liberties, it becomes a more complicated landscape, but we're working with law enforcement to address any eventuality.
The Department of Homeland Security says it's received reports that the truckers could potentially begin in LA this Sunday and travel cross-country, possibly reaching Washington, D.C. as early as March 1st, the date President Biden delivers the State of the Union address. DHS has warned police agencies while there are currently no indications of planned violence, the potential exists to severely disrupt transportation and federal government operations. The White House says it's watching the trucker protests in Canada very closely as they've blockaded a bridge into Detroit, impacting a supply chain already in crisis.
The Ambassador Bridge is Canada's busiest link to the United States and accounts for about 25% of trade between the two countries.
Auto manufacturers on both sides of the border say they're experiencing production disruptions at their plants.
The economic and social harm that these protests are having here in Windsor, in Ottawa, and across Canada is quite significant.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is calling on Canada to immediately reopen the bridge, saying the blockade is having a significant impact on Michigan's working families who are just trying to do their jobs. It's hitting paychecks and production lines. That is unacceptable. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
We'll keep you posted on that one. In the meantime, guess what? Tomorrow's Friday. And we're excited
Always
about
good
it.
news, right?
Yes, it is. Even better if there's sunshine, right?
Oh my goodness, it's been fantastic, at least for February weather, right? Let's bring in meteorologist Tom Sherry for more on what we can expect for Friday and then the weekend, Tom.
Well, overnight tonight, it's going to get cold. Overnight lows dropping down into the upper 20s. This morning, we saw overnight lows actually stay above freezing. And we'll look for increasing clouds and dense fog overnight. You can see we're not seeing any precipitation. Day planner calls for 28 degrees, the low tonight, 45 the expected high tomorrow. For the weekend, I've got more clouds on Saturday than Sunday, and Sunday's high up to 46. Check out my 10-day forecast in just about 10 minutes.
Looking forward to that, Tom. Thank you very much. Inflation has followed us into 2022. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics says the consumer price index rose 7.5% in the 12 months ending in January. That is the highest annual increase since February of 1982. From housing to furniture, used cars, and medical costs, prices increased all across the board. Even without factoring food and energy, which tend to be more volatile prices, rose by 6%.
Another Super Bowl almost upon us, which means online claims about the Super Bowl also popping up. Claims like the biggest football game of the year also being the biggest event for sex trafficking in the world. Here now is our National Verify team.
Headlines warn of a dark side to the Super Bowl. Some call it the biggest trafficking event in the world. Every year, local officials and law enforcement ramp up efforts to combat human trafficking, specifically sex trafficking, before and during the Super Bowl. But is there evidence that the Super Bowl is the biggest event for sex trafficking in the world? Let's verify. Our sources are Freedom Network USA and Survive and Thrive Advocacy Center, two groups that assist victims and survivors of human trafficking. Polaris, operator of the National Human Trafficking Hotline, the San Francisco Task Force on Anti-Human Trafficking, and the FBI. According to a Polaris spokesperson, quote, the National Human Trafficking Hotline has not experienced a measurable increase in phone calls over Super Bowl weekend over what is already received on a daily basis, unquote. Before the 2016 Super Bowl in San Francisco, the city launched an anti-human trafficking campaign. Later that year, the San Francisco Task Force on Anti-Human Trafficking released a report stating, quote, no definitive data exists linking the Super Bowl to increased human trafficking in the regions that host the game, unquote. A 2018 video from the FBI emphasized that sex trafficking and more broadly human trafficking is a year-round issue. And advocacy groups agree, adding that there is no evidence that the Super Bowl is the biggest event for sex trafficking in the world. So we can verify, no, there is no evidence that the Super Bowl is the biggest event for sex trafficking in the world. According to Freedom Network USA, the local trafficking awareness campaigns centered around the Super Bowl have shown no lasting impact in reducing trafficking in the given area. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
An artist with cerebral palsy is using his skills to fund an important surgery. We'll show you his work at Donut Parade and how you can help after the break.